Good evening, everybody, from wherever you are in the world. Welcome once again to the International Sim Drivers Association, this time from my home country of England. This is Donington Park. Thankfully, no shipping delays in the virtual world at the moment. You've missed nothing other than the drivers circulating on their initial warm-up laps. 20 minutes of qualifying separate the drivers from their grid positions, and then a further hour we then have to endure of the great British summer. I say that in very, very large air quotes because who knows what the weather is going to do if we find ourselves in the midst of a storm. Currently watching a pink Aston Martin come down the back straight. Nope. Up the hill is where it's coming. Who is that? I believe that's the red and black BMW. Now of Aidan Doyle. Thank you very much to our race director for getting the graphics up for us there. Jonic fastest in the NSX so far, but that is still no times set for the time being. I thought they'd already come around. Minton is the first across the line. I thought that 888 car was noticeably absent from the timing screens. A 1:27.6 is a galling first time for the rest of the field to try and catch. The Bentley should be fairly difficult to beat in these at this track. The stability in that Continental GT3 car will be difficult to compete with on the undulating hillside around which Donington is built. Another one of these racetracks that used to be in either an old airfield or in the grounds of a stately home. Donington Park is by far and away one of the favoured tracks by a lot of GT drivers, as well as touring car drivers, among which Jason Plato is one of those who really enjoys this track, using the long GT layout for the GT cars. Originally, this hairpin was made for Formula One. If you weren't aware, race director being brilliantly communicative tonight, we're going to go on board with the big bruiser Bentley. Hopefully we get a full lap from Mr. Dan Minton. Coming up towards turn one, use as much of the pit lane on the left hand side as you dare. Two wheels it is for Dan Minton. I've seen people go four wheels off over there before to try and get as narrow an entrance. Down the Craner curves comes the Bentley, stable as you like into the old hairpin. Two wheels off the track again and running very, very wide as well, but the Bentley will take it. That's the thing. That's where the strength comes in this enormous proper GT car. Wonderful to see it still competing and being competitive. Oh, he's 3/10 up on his previous, on the overall leader at the moment. This track is getting quicker and quicker as the session goes on into the chicane. The touring cars would normally turn right there. Reasonably recent modification being made there as Donington as well tried to make a bid to get Formula One back at the old racetrack. As we can probably tell, that wasn't successful in the end. Up towards the final corner comes the 888 car. This could very well be a shot at pole, but just misses the apex on the final corner. This could be a decent setup for the next lap. Next lap, however, fourth place goes the 888 Bentley. Some fairly strict track limits being enforced as well on that pit exit, as we know that it comes straight out on to the racing line. As always, the crew at ISDA are absolutely on it and making sure that all of our drivers are as safe as they can possibly be while being as competitive as possible. Boolean in the BMW. This is unsurprising to see the Booleans doing, the BMWs doing well on a car that, in a car that is very quick in a straight line, is miles off his fastest lap for the time being, just chasing down the Audi in front. We'll pull off to one side. There we go. I've had a feeling that might be coming, just to get out of the way of those who could be on flying laps. Mercedes now of Mex goes fastest overall by 1.5 tenths of a second, and is going faster again. Lost time coming through the chicane there at the Fogarty S's. Can he gain the time back on the exit? Not quite able to get the traction down in the 886 Mercedes. Just perhaps the very edge of those tyres, losing out. Interesting that we haven't seen a late apex line being used by some of the drivers here. It's the way to get the best traction onto the start-finish straight, and is used quite often by some of the front-wheel drive cars to be able to get the best straight line speed coming across the line. Where is that 24 car coming around the final corner? Where is Jonic going to put that NSX? We've seen some incredible performances from him over the course of this season. Puts it up to 3rd position. Provisionally speaking, we're not even halfway through the session yet, so plenty of time for those times to drop. But once again, a very competitive time for the NSX. D'Couza, meanwhile, in the Porsche number 80, is faster, coming down into the final corner now, and will hold that advantage. See that slow line? You get a slower apex, but you get so much better of a drive on the way out. Goes to the top with the number 80 Porsche. Brilliant, brilliant to see. Where is the number 2 Amcar of Sean Buck in the scheme of things? Just coming down the crane of curves and struggling to get it stopped for the old hairpin, as you would expect. Up the hill towards McLean's, not using as much of the track as he could in the BMW. Massive twitch of oversteer on the exit as well. That's going to be some quick reactions to get that BMW back in a straight line. He lost time, I believe that would be at McLean's. Just that twitch of oversteer, struggling. They really do attack those Fogarty S's. Something chronic. Where is Jacques Vermeulen in the 39 car? Just ahead in position and on the road, a few seconds behind. Coming down into the Fogarty S's. See how much the curbs jut out into the track there, and the speeds that these GT3 cars can take through that series of corners is absolutely astounding, considering how difficult it is. Having seen those corners in real life, it's even more terrifying when you see the cars do it in real life. Final corner, Vermeulen sticks all the way to the inside. That will lose him time on the exit, but he's still quite a bit quicker. That pushes him to 12th position, just outside the top 10 for the Vermeulen car. Barnabas Concoli at the moment, leading the AM class, is doing very, very well. Miksik is 3/10 up as well. Where is this going to put him? This is overall Matty Miksik to the top. Porsches once again proving that they might not be fastest in a straight line, but that doesn't stop them being absolutely ballistic through all of the twisty stuff. Radoslav Živkovic in 28th at the moment is looking to progress up the field. Plenty of positions to be made for the Lamborghini driver. We've seen that Lambo be incredible in the early stages of the race, being able to defend. Uses a more traditional, what I would call, line, a slightly later apex to be able to get the traction out of the corner. Pushes himself to 19th in that 68 car. Great showing for the Lamborghini. He's going to stop and pull to one side. Very difficult position there. I would have gone to the other side personally. How is Schotter doing in the Lexus? Coming down towards the final corner. I think this might be an outlap, so this might be an opportunity to... no, he's not enjoying himself there. Perhaps tried out a setting that wasn't happy. Meanwhile, the ex-pole sitter, Matty Mex, coming down the hill, currently hovering around the same time as he did before. But that Mercedes looking to, my goodness, he's made 3/10 on his previously set times. That is a massive leap to make through the middle sector. Meanwhile, and on board we go. Just appreciate the thumping sound of that Mercedes V8, particularly vocal as he'll come out of this hairpin here. Oh, it never gets boring. And then through the final corner, a much wider line there, but that isn't going to hurt him necessarily. He's got the speed. Can he put it to the top? The Mercedes goes to provisional pole position. The final sector was not the quickest, but it didn't need to be. His first two sectors were astounding. With 6 minutes left to go, it is Mex in the lead. Mixic second, Dakusa third, Vermeulen in the 39 car, getting all the way to fourth in that BMW. Then this man, Cameron Drake, in the Mercedes 199. Coming out of McLean's and up towards Coppice. Difficult call. Okay. So the weather today is looking as though it's quite cloudy at the moment, but no signs of it being a proper English summer. The rain looks to be staying away for the time being. It's going to be a very difficult strategy to try and call under these cloudy conditions because the pressures are going to be up and down. Track temperature's up at 25 degrees at the moment, so plenty of temperature to get into the tyres, but you can't run it you can't run the tyres too soft, otherwise you're going to start burning them up very quickly and run through your rubber. Dakusa in the 80 car was running quicker, but has already just lost time through the fog ATSs there. That's how critical that little left-right kink is as they come down towards the end of the lap. Where else do we have? Sean Buck is in some traffic. This is going to cause him issues coming down the hill. Chasing, who is that in front? That is Cameron Drake in the 199. So he shouldn't be struggling as far as the pace is concerned. In front of those two is Aidan Doyle as well. So two very fast drivers in front of Sean Buck, who of course is in the AM class, but not able, under the draft effect of the cars in front, to really make the most of the performance in that BMW. Oh, Matty Mixic, 2/10 up at the moment, and there is absolutely not a 2/10 gap between first and second at the moment. Trying to fight for the honour, coming up towards Coppice now. Can he get that portion nailed? looks as though it's about safe. There's a bit of tarmac on the outside that he could have used. Make sure a nice smooth line over towards the other side of the road, and then the brakes into the fog. Yes, is difficult to nail. How does the Porsche handle it? Very, very bumpy, and a bit of a correction. He's not happy on the exit as well. He's going to lose all of that time that he's worked so hard to gain, but into the Melbourne hairpin, that is going to be all she wrote. I'm pretty sure Mixic is about as fast as anyone through this final sector. Got the traction down. It's not going to be enough, however. He's going to close the gap to first position. But maybe that was all just a setup. This is a 10th up, and he's only into the first corner now. What can Mixic do in the 996 car with 2.5 minutes remaining? And this is Scott on a outlap for the 13 Lexus. Is he on a flyer? He is on a flyer. This is an enormous time for Scudder in that case. That is 2.5 tenths. This could be a massive kick up the grid for the number 13 Lexus. As long as he gets the left-right kink here, right, he's pretty much got it. Lost the slightest bit of time, but more than enough in hand to start competing at the head of the field. There's a BMW in front that is able to give him a bit of a draft in the straight line into the final corner. BMW absconds. This could be an enormous time for the Lexus. Bit of a correction on the exit, and where was that? He won't go any higher. What happened in that final corner? He must have had an awful exit inside the car. Meanwhile, Paul Venter in the 42 BMW, desperate to get some pro cars in between himself and the AM cars behind, is running faster than he has prior. Not quite enough to get out of his current 13th position. Now here, this is a more traditional track that we would expect. There we go. That was an enormous exit from the final corner. What happened there? Where was the 42 before now on that timing screen? That's a massive jump that he's made. Either that or the track has just come to the cars, which also wouldn't surprise me. We are. Yes, that is. We're coming down to the end of the qualifying. Who is going to be the first to cross the line? I think it's either going to be Bullion or someone around there. First was Miljevic. Second will be Bullion in the 58, who will stay third. He will go to third on that final lap. Good evening. Very sorry to YouTube chat. I am watching. I'm just ever so slightly missing you guys at the moment. Mihailo is driving the pink M4, which we need to have a look at some point. Yankis says, good evening. JR Sim Racing is saying, let's go Brooker. Good evening, Steve Minton. Apologies for missing you there. Jonic, more fans joining to see how well their favourite driver can do. Roberto Lopez, Donington is quite fresh on my mind. Just had a league race there yesterday night. Donington is very fresh in my mind because R Factor 2 is just announced. Ooh.
This is a race control. Warning to cars 777 and 806. Warning to cars 777 and 806.
There we go. So, question coming in from Yankee is, how come the 888 is so slow? Honestly, I think with the way the track is at the moment, it's going to be very difficult for Minton to find the kind of space that the Bentley needs to be able to run its pace. Where is... Okay, so we have 2 minutes 30 to run through this 32 car strong grid.
This is the race control. The warning was for collision on the pit exit.
As always, race directors being very strict with the safety measures imposed for the best of all of our drivers here. So Matty MX will lead the drivers away on this parade lap. There we go. Oh, I love this low down camera angle. It never gets boring. Just makes you feel like you're there. So Matty MX leads the drivers away then with D'Couza alongside in the first of a few Porsches. Boolean went to fourth in the end. That's interesting. I wonder what's happened there. But Matty MX in the 996 is third. Fourth will be Niall Boolean. Fifth will be Jacques Vermeulen in that 39 car. Bellato Dennis will start the 15 Lexus in a very well placed sixth position. Cameron Drake will start the 199 Mercedes, looking to improve on that starting position, I could believe. Zoran Jonic in 8th position in the 24 Honda NSX, still outperforming that outdated Honda by a absolute margin. Valentine Vuetes, I know I'm mispronouncing that again, I can't remember the surname, will start in 9th position. Paul Venter will lead the AMCARs away. We've seen how quick he can be. I've seen how quick that man can be. So Paul Venter will be a man to watch. Sean Scudder in the racing team Astra Lexus will start from 11th. Igor Van Coyle will start the 55 from 12th. Aidan Doyle will start from 13th. Dan Minton a lowly 14th and looking to improve. I will put money on the fact that there will be some strategy calls made by the 888 car. Barnabas Concolly is missing, it looks like, from the grid. Sean Buck, it will start 16th. Oh no, he's there. He's there. Neil Greening will start 17th. Andy Brooker will start 18th. Marko Miljevic will start 19th. 20th will be Domagoj Tonzatic in 20th. 21st will be another D. Doyle. Miljevic will start the 998 from 22nd. 23rd will be George Van Coyle. Dupreez will start the 89 from 24th. 25th will be Otto Winkler. Zivkovic will start from 26th. 27th will be Vucinic. 28th will be Robson. Sabata will start 29th. 30th will be Dunster. Boolean 31st. And 32nd, and perhaps starting from the pits, will be Anthony Wilson. A word from our sponsors. Thank you very much to SRP for sponsoring this series. It really does make all the difference and makes everything so much easier with server hosting, with things like this commentary, and all of the hard work that the crew is putting in to making these races as professional as they can possibly be. So the drivers circulating on their warm-up lap, plenty of time for the...
This is the race control. Time penalty for 25 seconds from previous race.
Thank you kindly. So plenty of time for the drivers to get heat into their tyres. And now we look with bated breath to turn 1, lap 1 at Redgate. and hope beyond hopes that the drivers are able to keep it all on the black stuff. Yep, as the race director accurately pointed out, there is a penalty for the number 7 McLaren from the previous race. So that will have to be served at the mandatory pit window. As we come towards the final corner, they will line up 2 by 2. Mercedes leads the way then at this 4th round of the ISDA Spring GT3 season. D'Cou's alongside. Who will get the best launch as they come towards the start-finish line now? We wait for the segment to go green, and we are go for 60 minutes of Donington Park. And down towards turn 1 they come. Porsche has the outside, but the Mercedes has the right of way into turn 1. Everything is clean so far. Down towards the back of the grid, they are safely through 3 wide as they come through Hollywood for the first time of asking. But everybody very, very sensible as they come through the first split, and all of the timing screens go haywire. The BMW that got a massive kick of oversteer. Who was that? Was that Boolean? It wasn't Boolean. Who was the other BMW? It must have been Jacques Vermeulen that got a kick of oversteer that just dropped him behind the other LNR car. Back of the field is all very, very safe and sane too, side by side into Coppice. Taking no prisoners is Dennis Bellato. Side by side, down Starkey Straight they come. Again, Lexus has the line, but the Mercedes has the right of way to the corner, and they will go into there in inverted orders from where they came. Down to Melbourne hairpin for the first time, and there has been an incident at the chicane. That is Andrew Brooker. Oh, we saw him practicing. I saw him practicing on his live stream just before the race started, and he was looking fairly despondent. 85. Looks like there's a yellow at the final corner as well. So they managed to get through the majority of the first corner. Oh, Jonic in the pits. So we're going to get a replay of that incident into the S's in just a moment. What happened to the Porsche just behind in this, I think. Heli camera just wasn't quite in the right place, unfortunately, there. That's fine. Maybe if we jump on board with him, see if he gets help from behind. Really unfortunate for Andrew. 31st. Oh, that was... I dare say there may be a penalty incoming for that one. 2 cars, it looks like, trying to outbrake each other, and in the end both of them outbraked themselves, all the cars around them, including Andrew Brooker in the 130 car. Really unfortunate for that yellow and black car. And then next we have another incident to have a quick look at down at the final hairpin. Involved this 24 car who is still stuck in the pits. So what has happened to that Honda down to the Melbourne hairpin? Is going to get on the brakes, takes evasive action, goes out wide and is squeezed off ever so slightly by the BMW. And then I have a feeling I know what's coming here. Oh, it's an almighty bump from behind for the Honda. And that is heartbreak for one of the more popular drivers in this series. And would you believe it, the 888 car of Dan Minton getting involved in all of that as well. Absolutely typical. That man just cannot get a break. No, Boolean leads the way. BMW's 1 and 2 then. And a formidable wall then of front engine rear wheel drive cars for the Porsches now to fight. And that was... Oh, Vermeulen now braked himself. Vermeulen... Oh, as they come together again, an Elborn hairpin. The driving here is once again getting a little bit desperate. I wouldn't... So Vermeulen will drop back all the way to 7th, and the 886 Mercedes, that's gone from the top fight as well. So what has happened as Matti Miksic as well was in that fight for the lead. I wonder if that's connected between those two drivers. Messy driving in these opening stages. And to think at Kyalami in the pouring rain, we had so much care taken by all of the drivers to stay out of each other's business. Where is the rest of the field? I love this Donington circuit. It really is such a beautiful place to be. 109 of Drake has actually remained relatively stable in that opening melee. I don't know how, because the positions going around, he must have lost quite a few positions to maintain that 6th position from where he started on the grid, but on the brakes, just staying out the back of Scudder there in 13 Lexus. Difficult driving conditions with all this traffic. There was a brief yellow flag there, but across the line they come. Oh, that's a massive dive up the inside of the 13. That is Dakusa. Dakusa's got it wrong at the old hairpin. And it looks like the Lexus is going to have him up the outside. It looks like Drake's going to have him up the inside, up towards the top of the hill at McLean's. Porsche's falling back hand over fist in these early stages of the race, and that's going to be the Triple Eight car up the inside as well. So Dan Minton up to 7th, and the 80 Porsche will wait for the split times to come through. The 80 Porsche dropping all the way down to 8th position. There he goes. Very, very difficult conditions for all the drivers at the moment. I wonder how many of them are carrying damage from the melees, as Miksic has dropped into the pits. This is going to be for damage. Miljevic, sorry, is in the pits. He could serve his penalty here. So this might not be the worst thing for that 7 car to get it out of the way at the same time as getting some damage repaired, but you must wonder if that 7 car is suffering in straight line speed. Dakusa now on the defensive against Igor Van Koyle in the 55 BMW. Down through Craner curves, they come through the old hairpin. About line astern, that Porsche has wonderful traction off of all of the corners, but then the power of the BMW kicks in. Can the BMW go around the outside up towards McLean's, and they remain as they are. Behind just by a few feet is Matti Miksic, competing with the AM leader of Sean Buck. A very similar fight. The Porsche able to jump off the corners, but not quite have that same top speed. They close in under braking. 2 cars playing it safe with the overtake for the time being.
This is the race control investigating incident between cars number 44 and 68, lap 1, turn 6.
I have the utmost sympathy for the race control tonight. After all of those incidents that we've had just in these first few laps, I do not envy their job at all. Zivkovic, meanwhile, it is under investigation. I can't see what for at the moment, but where is this? Oh, there's cars left and right and left. There's a Bentley on the inside. This would be lap 1, I would suggest. Oh, is this going to be a touch on the McLaren? That's the only thing that I could possibly think. It looks clean so far. Oh, that's what it was. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Radoslav there. That's so unfortunate. Kicked off on the inside by a McLaren, and then just getting the slightest of wiggles. It would be unfortunate if he got a penalty for that. I could understand it, but yes, the other car involved in that is under investigation for that altercation as well. Thank you very much to the stream director. See, this is what I always say. I only have one set of eyes. I only have one set of brain cells with which to be able to compute and calculate everything that we're seeing, which is why people like our stream director today and you guys in the YouTube chat as well are so vitally important to us being able to get the very best production out to you guys. They're still, I don't believe this, but they're still in one long train. You can see on the track map on the right hand side, it is just one train from the start of the field to the end. I think the only car not involved in that is actually the leader, Niall Bullion, and the 89 car, who is a little bit off in the back. But the rest of these cars, all in one constant line of metal and horsepower. Jonic lap down and struggling to...
This is the race control. Incident between cars 44 and 68. No further action. Now investigating incident between cars 68 and 25. Lap 1, turn 9.
I sincerely hope that the stewards aren't watching the live stream, and I really, really hope that what I said didn't affect their judgment. That's Porsche off on the outside as well. Oh, a difficult rejoin. Thankfully, everyone stayed out of the way. Jonic has got all of the work to do in these early stages of the race. Andrew Brooker as well, devilishly unlucky to be where he is right now. He's got a lot of speed in that Porsche. And Robson too for the LNR team. Competing again, Vucinic. Another name for me to mess up. Who is, I was told in the pre-stream to put eyes on for a moment. Thankfully, he's going to make our job significantly easier, as he's going to get himself into a fight with that with the BMW in front. A train of 5 BMWs there, just outside the top 20, but that pink BMW is looking very, very good. Vucinic has just run out off. So they get, oh, Tonsitic. Oh, outbraked himself as Tonsitic into McLean's, and George Van Coyle has had to back up. Now Miljevic will take the position away, closes the door half and half. Another twitch from the BMW. What is going on for Van Coyle there? As they come down Starkey straight through the S's. It looks as though Miljevic has got it all under control. The braking power of that McLaren is heart-stopping at times. Look at this battle. This is all for battling just outside the top 10, but more importantly, these are all AM cars competing for what I can only suggest is third in class. As Otto Winkler in third position, leading this train. And they're absolutely on pace. There we go. Gorgeous 82 Bentley, as always, resplendent. Is Otto Winkler. Miljevic now in the 998, pressuring the 447 Audi in a big way. He's wise to the handling characteristics of the Audi R8 Evo 2. 447 goes defensive. He would be wise to, I think he is, slightly slower on the apex. Now the McLaren can use the straight line speed and the draft of the Audi Evo 2 in front. Can he make it happen down Starkey Straight? Not yet, he can't. Remember, Audi in front is going to have a little bit of tow from greening the BMW in front as well. So as, a lot of tow in fact. And now Miljevic is under attack and a fairly easy pass in the end for George Van Coyle. Does the McLaren have any answer for the BMW on the run back down? Doesn't look like it. So it was very cut and thrust through the S's they come. A little bit of a bobble, and McLaren just didn't quite have the speed off of the chicane. Went over to defend, but kind of knew that the place was lost. It looked like very much gave best in this early stage of the race. Very heads-up driving by Miljevic there to be able to live to fight another day. Bear in mind that there is pit stops to be served in the next 20 minutes. And so a opportunity for strategy calls to be made and perhaps some fresh air to be gained in the middle of this race. Where else are we at the moment? Zivkovic hunting down the Mex car. These were two much faster drivers. That looked like airtime for the Lamborghini there. Didn't get a very good exit. This is going to be an Amcar pass, which doesn't make any difference as far as points are concerned, but big touch on the back for Concoli there. Hopefully the diffuser isn't damaged, and hopefully that was just netcode. But that is the Audi with now a Lamborghini-sized buffer. But how long for as they come down into turn one? Lamborghini goes to the outside. The Audi sits very tightly to the inside line, but that is the job done through Redgate.
This is the race control. Time penalty 15 seconds for car 68 and time penalty 5 seconds to car 25.
So Zivkovic with more time to spend stationary in the pits, and the 25 car of Neil Greening as well. That's an awful penalty to be arriving at. Meanwhile, further down the grid, the battle over what could have been Matti Miksik in the 996 versus Mattia Mex in the 998. They're both going to get done by Concoli if they're not careful. That Evo 2 is a weapon. Through the twisty stuff, the Pro car has to give best to the Audi Evo 2 and might lose out to the Lamborghini as well. Side-by-side contact, as I do believe that Zivkovic was very much unsighted there. But interrupting the battle that was over the lead. Stephen Irish, this is a PC league. Just so for your information. And as you'll hear, if you stick around, we have live stewarding as well. That's where those time penalties have come so far. That's Mattia Mex off. A lot of instability there, apparently, on the brakes. I wonder if that was application of the brakes that made the difference for the Mercedes there. Doyle now up behind Greening. A fight that he doesn't really need to work too hard to lead. It's just a case of if he's losing time to Miljevic in the 998 ahead. But Doyle will drop back. It looks as though the split times are coming through. A fight over P2 then. Bellato, let me get the names right here. Bellato, Verchez and Scudder in the 15.806 and 13 respectively, hunting each other for that second place on the podium.
This is the race control. Now investigating incident between cars 24 and 42, lap 1, turn 12.
Ten, 12 must be the final corner, according to my track map. I've only got 11 corners, so that's perhaps a slightly different track map that the race stewards are using. Oh, here we go. I said watch out for the 888 car. Hunting down the BMW of Jacques Vermeulen. This is pro-on-pro action, and it is going to be fierce. Dan Minton, a real-life professional racing driver, absolutely takes no prisoners, but is the ultimate fair driver. I must say, I am a little bit of a fan of Minton and his driving. And they aren't too far off the battle over third position as well. As they come across the line, they remain as they are for the time being. Zivkovic, with that 15-second penalty, is going to try and make hay while the sun doesn't shine, perhaps. In this case, over 12th place. Porsche is going to struggle in the straight line. But now this is Miksik, untroubled by the 886 that was hassling him earlier. Comes through Redgate nice and clean around Hollywood and down through the Craner curves. Lamborghini has a big look to the inside. I don't know if that was as much avoidance as anything else. Here's also Winkler now with that overspeed from the correction that Zivkovic had to make. This could get very, very close. Winkler gets on the brakes as hard as he can to avoid the collision. Sensible, level-headed driving from Otto Winkler. Let's stay with this Bentley for a while, because this battle is going to be worth having this perspective on. As they come out onto Starkey's Straight. Lamborghini looks to the inside. Porsche gets on the brakes but can't make it happen through the S's, but is going to get right in the way of the AM car. Pro car of Zivkovic making an important pass there to be able to get some clear air and perhaps some lap time under his belt, as he has that 15-second penalty to serve. Meanwhile, the AM car can't quite make the position and is now going to fall under the pressure of the 998 of Miljevic. Oh, the McLaren's very quick in a straight line, but the Bentley has the Porsche punching a hole through the air. It's going to be a difficult ask for Evo to attack. But if anyone can do it, it's going to be a McLaren that's going to make it happen. Concoli in the 51, pressuring Greening in the 25. This is the fight over fourth position. Miljevic and Winkler have made a little time up ahead. Oh, but here we go.
This is the race control. Car number 24 receives stop-and-go penalty 20 seconds for causing a collision. Now investigating incidents between car 886 and 996, lap 2, turn 11.
So lots and lots of incidents from the initial phases of the race, and as always the race stewards are on top of everything. Oh, Minton looks so... Oh, no, didn't do it. Real-time timing screens was giving me a little bit of false hope. But he's closer than he's ever been to the back of the 39 car. Oh, that would be awesome, yeah. We're going to jump on board with Dan Minton. Have you ever seen a BMW M4 look quite so big in front of a Bentley? It still looks enormous, does the Bentley, compared to the M4. But these are proper GT cars. Wider line taken by Minton then, perhaps giving him a little bit of space to be able to pressure towards the end of the lap. We know Minton's a very cerebral driver. He will be thinking constantly. As Miljevic tries to swap on the Porsche in front. Pro versus Am here, but the 720S is faster in a straight line if he can get the traction down, but the Porsche just walks away on the exit of the corner. Meanwhile, the battle over third in Am is as tight as it's ever been. McLaren gets the top speed in the end, and now once again the Porsche is going to be left standing in the way of the 25 of Greeny and Concoli as well. Porsche tries to defend, but once you've lost that speed on the S's, you can't get it back. Pit window is open, and I said the strategies would come thick and fast. Bellato in the pits, Vermeulen in the pits, Minton in the pits, D'Couza to the pits as well. These are all the 996 and the Audi here of Concoli into the pits as well. These guys are going for the undercut. They're trying to get fresh boots on and try and get some hot laps and some clean air, more importantly. That's the one thing that having the pack so closely bundled together has given us here, is we get to have a lot of clear air. As the Bellato is the first of the drivers to leave, and he does have a lot of clear air, just the 74 in front, as you can see on the track map on the right hand side. Meanwhile, at the top, one of the highest points of the track, Wilfred Robson, Bullion into the pits. So perhaps a reaction, or perhaps this was his strategy all along, or perhaps he just wasn't in the right position on the track to be able to make the pit stop last time round. That's how these time limited races fall sometimes, is that you just aren't in the right place at the right time. We'll have to see if any of that 6-second lead that Bullion had has been eaten into at all by the time he leaves the pits. Where is... Oh my goodness, why everybody... It's strange to see everybody dropping into the pits so early. Perhaps this is tyre wear related. There is damage as well. Igor Van Coyle is down and rolling. Where is Niall in all of this? He's back out on circuit.
This is the race control. Drive-through penalty for car 996 for causing a collision.
Oh, a harsh penalty. I'm sure deserved. The 996 car is a pro car of Miksik. Yep, the Porsche. Who is going to, I'm sure, serve that drive-through penalty immediately, as he's in the right position on the track to be able to do so. Let's cut into the pits. Drake is in the pits as well. Doyle is down and out. Where was our incumbent race leader? Niall Bullion in the 58 car coming into the S's now. Is he is not leading. The 15 Lexus is ahead. So strategy call and strategy loss, it looks like, unless of course there was. So it is with great pleasure that I say a Lexus leads overall at Donington Park. Incredible scenes, and this isn't even in the rain. Once again, this balance of performance class really does bring out the absolute best of racing in any form. And Drake, the 199, will leapfrog the previous race leader, so this pit stop window, we say it's...
This is the race control, now investigating incident between cars 13 and 996, lap 3, turn 11.
There are people who say that mandatory pit stops are just a way to get a bit of a break and they don't really do anything. The race leader has lost 3 positions and now 2 Lexuses lead the way at Donington Park. And that is entirely through strategy. I would love to know what happened to Boolean. If anyone has any inside information for that LNR car, I would love to find out. There is plenty of pace in the BMW, so I have no doubt that Drake might well fall by the wayside of Sean. Oh, but Fuertes to third, it looks like, on the exit. He's in front of the Lexus. So the Audi Evo 2, the later pit stops really are seeming to be reaping rewards for the drivers. Overcut instead of the undercut. The majority of the pit lane have already pitted, and we aren't even at the halfway mark of the pit window, let alone the race yet. The only man, and this has to be an open question as well, Andrew Brooker in the 130, an awful start to the race, but could this be a stroke of genius from the 130 driver to potentially bump himself up the field? It won't be for the win to hunt down. Zoran Jonic is ready for interview as well, as we are midway through this pit window. Let's hold on that for just a moment. I think Lexi is the plural of Lexus. Brooker drops down. Looks as though the Mercedes has the measure of the BMW. Brooke is still up in the air. Let's have a word very quickly to the Honda NSX driver, Zoran Jonic. A bit of a night to forget, perhaps?
Yes. I don't know.
This is race over for you then?
Yeah, this is race over for me. I apologize for the lap 1 incident. I think I overshoot the brakes and hit someone in front of me. And that's basically why I came here. So after that, I deserve the penalty, and right now I think I was 2 laps behind. So I don't want...
Drive-through penalty for car 13 for causing collision.
I don't want to mess up others' race, because I cannot attack under the blue flags, and I feel faster behind these guys, so that's why I gave up in the end.
So it wasn't a technical issue, it was there was nothing you could practically do.
Yeah, there was nothing I could do. 2 laps behind. I could only do a few more penalties for me if I can maybe attack someone under the blue flags, and I didn't want to ruin anybody's race. So that's it.
That's
I don't
totally
know.
understandable.
Yeah, I haven't clicked with this track and this car. Maybe this is the first time, like, maybe the car showed some weaknesses to me, so it was kind of hard to get a proper setup and proper laps. So
I totally understand that.
I hope for better situation in the next week. So that's basically, I gave up to let people race and not mess up with them.
Yeah, so the NSX from the highs of Kailami to the lows of Donington is a fair summation.
That's how I race basically. In Paul Ricard I was last, so after that I was fourth and first. Now again I'm probably somewhere last. So next time I hope for a better result. That's it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's fine.
Now closed.
I can come there, no problem. Wait a minute. Let me start the stream.
So we're going to have a look at that replay for you then, just to get an idea of what happened. So this was lap 1, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Got on the brakes. You had to take evasive action there. So
yeah,
what was?
Because I thought that I'm gonna hit the Lexus in front of me, and
No.
I really, yeah.
That's very well behaved. That's absolutely spot on. And then here, what was it? Just missed your braking point. You're on the wrong side of the road to where you're used to being.
Basically, I think the cold brakes and my braking point was totally messed up. Because after I let these the BMW next to me, like that corner before, I kind of saw the huge gap in front, and I thought, okay, I have enough braking power to in my head, right? But it was totally overshoot there. Yeah, my mistake for sure. Nothing to add. Just want to apologize. That's it.
Okay, I tell you what, you can. Oh, hang on.
This is race control. Now investigating incident between cars 92 and 764, lap 5, turn 11.
I'll tell you what then, very quickly, you can make it up to us by singing the song that we were begging you to sing last week. Jonic is my... please.
Yeah, we had a deal, and right now I'm not in the mood, so I promise. I promise I'll do it once in a season, okay?
Good man. We'll accept that. Oh, bad luck tonight, but hopefully we'll get to see the best of you and the NSX next time out at Circuit Zolder for another endurance round. You have a good evening, mate.
Thank you.
See ya.
See you, bye.
So a bit of heartbreak for Jonic there, but plenty more drivers and plenty more racing left to go in this race. Bellato leads the way in the single Lexus. Other cars that have made a massive jump. Minton up to 5th, as he always seems to do, just behind by 2 seconds. This fight over 3rd and 4th. Cameron Drake having to go defensive. Looks as though the BMW is trying to go around the outside of Niall Bullion. We know how quick that BMW is, but the Mercedes is keeping it at bay at the moment. Looks to the outside. Mercedes doesn't feel the need to go defensive into the final corner. Wide line taken by the BMW. This will give him better traction on the exit, but just gets it ever so slightly wrong over on the curbs. A little bit too wide, maybe half a wheel on the grass. And they will remain as they are for the time being, although that Mercedes is not looking good on the apex speed. Just appreciate falling down the hill with Niall Bullion here. Still they come over the top of the hill and down Starkey Straight. Auction House on the left hand side. On the brakes into the S's. Oh, it looks as though the Mercedes got a better exit that time. Could that be the thing that puts the BMW out of reach under braking? So difficult to be able to tell. Goodness. Oh, Fuertes has got the gap to under a second. Audi and Lexus fighting for the lead of the race. Valentine Fuertes is looking to take that position away. This could be a maiden victory at ISDA for the Gen 2 of the Audi R8 GT3 car. Not sure if he's flashing the Lexus or if that's just the LOD kicking in, unfortunately. Let's have a quick look here.
This is the race control. 5-second penalty for car 92 for causing collision. Now investigating incident between cars 130 and 89. Lap 6, turn 4.
Lots of incidents throughout the first part of the race, but this should start to calm down now that we've got the majority of the starting incidents out of the way. BMW of Boolean still trying to hunt down Drake. There is plenty of performance left in that BMW. I wonder how much he's using up the tyres on that 58 BMW though. They do look absolutely wonderful. It's a shame we can't get the super close-ups that they have in Formula 1 where you can see the driver's eyes through the visors and stuff. It'd be so good to be able to have those sorts of perspectives from the side of the race course. Concentrated, contemplative. How is he going to get the sister German mark out of the way and make his way back onto the podium positions? He was leading this race, don't forget, by 6.5 seconds was Noel Bullion.
This is the race control. Drive-through penalty for car 130 for causing collision.
Drive-through for the 130. So after all of that hard work that Andrew Brooker put in, made his way all the way back to 18th position. Incredible strategy. You'll see the penalty appear just now, and that is it. As soon as he's got the sign, he's jumped straight in, get it out of the way, maximize the time that he's got to push towards the back of the cars ahead of him. Meanwhile, battle for the lead. This is what we like to see, and a battle over third position all over the head of this field. Meanwhile, Minton is slowly closing in, as well as Igor Van Coyle as well, who is pressuring. There's just two pairs. The cars come through 2 by 2. The BMW takes a wide line into the final corner, tries to get the traction down on their exit, keeps it on the black stuff. This time he's not quite got the overspeed, but what can he do? Into turn 1, he's going to close up, but the Mercedes has the line and the space. Round Hollywood and down through Craner Curves. What an incredible perspective. Through the old hairpin, where there used to be a bridge across the track just here. But there no longer. Meaning it's very, very difficult as the fight for the lead gets even more fierce. Audi tried to go up the inside, but had to cut very, very tightly into the apex there, coming up the hill. This is how long the Audi has been working to try and get some kind of overlap over the Lexus. Up over McLean's. They will come, and it is at the top of the hill here that they go side by side, and there was no, believe it or not, there was no contact there. I barely believe it myself, but there was no contact in that incident. Incredible driving at the head of this field. Once again, into turn 1 they come. They still they are 2 by 2 for the top 6 positions. Terrifyingly close, and it can go any way. The Audi looks like it's got the speed. It's certainly got the balance through the twisty stuff, and I think if the Lexus can't keep the Audi behind, it's going to struggle to keep up with the pace of that Audi R8 Evo.
This is the race control, now investigating incident between cars 990 and 447, lap 12, turn 11.
I dare say, you see, this is it. It's a mirror fight going on just behind that lead for that battle for the lead, and again between 5th and 6th. This is what ISDA is about. Incredibly tight, close racing. Tenths of a second apart, but everyone showing the ultimate respect to each other. I do think that Igor Van Coyle has got his work cut out, but is this the pass for 3rd position? The Mercedes goes defensive, parks it on the apex, but keeps it tight and keeps the BMW at bay just for the time being. All the while, Dan Minton is going to be closing on this battle as well. I'm sure it's going to be through this final sector as well that he's going to be making up all the time, with the Mercedes having to park on the apex to keep the BMW behind. Into turn 1 again they come. Oh, where do you... I feel so bad for our stream director. Where do you look on the track? How do you look at the cars? It's absolutely insane what these guys are getting up to. Into the old hairpin again they come for the 30th time. 30 laps they've completed in under an hour. But now once again the Audi's close, top of the hill. Has Wetters learned from his previous attempts? He's backed off ever so slightly. Is he going to try and get the toe all the way down the back straight?
This is the race control. Drive-through penalty for car 998 for causing collision. Sorry, 990.
There we go. Getting the numbers right, it's all good. Oh, into the S's. The Audi has so much speed and so much braking capability, we just can't get it done. There's a car in the way. On the brakes, into Melbourne hairpin they come. The stream director has just told me, in case you heard that brief exhale, there are going to be blue flags. There is going to be traffic coming up ahead. How is Dennis Bellato going to keep the Audi behind while making clean passes on the blue flagged cars ahead? I am terrified almost to find out. Into turn 1, Audi's as close as it's ever been. Takes a later apex. Maybe the Audi knows as well what's coming in the form of traffic ahead. Bear in mind too that these guys are still a 1 minute 28.2 pace. They are still setting fastest laps while they're fighting like this. The Audi is basically on the bumper of the leading Lexus, is going to avoid the collision. Just wonderful view over the back of the Emil Frey liveried Lexus. Meanwhile, further back, BMW still trying to hunt down Dan Minton and not able to make a dent in the Bentley's defense. Astonishing driving as always from Dan Minton to keep the BMW faster. Remember how old that Bentley is and how much work Minton is probably having to do to keep the BMW behind. And somehow the fight over 3rd and 4th kind of got left out of this little argument at the moment. I dare say it might be worth Igor dropping back ever so slightly, stop attacking the Bentley for a couple of laps with, well, is it just under 12 minutes remaining?
This is the race control, now investigating incident between cars 447 and 42, lap 23, turn 11.
So much action up and down the field. We just have to keep our eyes on these leading battles. They're so close, and there's 3 2x2 battles going on. Need I remind you that it only takes 2 cars to make a race, and we've got 31 of them circulating here at Donington Park. Up towards the top of the hill they come. I have the battle for the lead on a second monitor. I keep looking over to it. They're just as close as these two though. 58 and Drake. Oh, here's the Audi. The Audi has the straight line speed now over the Lexus. That seems like a really strange thing to say. But now what can the Lexus do coming down towards the Melbourne hairpin? as far as defense is concerned. The Audi looks to the inside, but the Lexus is going to turn in regardless, but he takes a later apex. The Audi, can he get the traction down on the exit? There is an ever so slight low overlap, but the Lexus has the speed in towards the final corner and will remain in the lead for the time being. Every attempt is a lesson learned for Valentine Fuertes. Into turn 1, and now there is a real possibility of lapped cars getting involved. They will be blue flagged, but it's still going to be a very, very difficult ask for the Lexus driver. Audi's lines look ever so slightly cleaner than the Lexus in front. Beautiful sparks coming off the undercarriage of the Lexus RCF GT3. Oh, twitch of oversteer. That's weird to see from an Audi as well. Especially this Gen 2 car. Perhaps he needs to drop back ever so slightly. It looks as though he is. Get some air through those cars. Meanwhile, the worst of conditions for David Dunster in the Pirate Racing Academy Porsche.
This is the race control. Drive-through penalty, car 447 for causing collision.
A late penalty served for the 447, and difficult to serve as well. Oh, the Audi closed up there. Under braking massively. But now we come to the real challenge. Oh, the Dunster has just absconded from the track. He does not want anything to do with this battle for the lead. The battle behind, too, is obviously going to be very close as well. What has he done? Up the hill, the Audi has an ever so slight advantage. Will he stay to the inside? No. He lets off the throttle, stays behind and sets up. It looks as though he's going for the run down towards the S's. This could be a Starkey's straight pass. It's called Dunlop Straight now. I remember. The Audi is as close as he's ever been in a straight line. He looks to the inside, gets out of the draft. Can't make it happen. Can he have a clean exit from the S's? However, it looks as the Lexus has to go defensive. This is as close as it's been. Side by side, they come down into the Melbourne hairpin. Can the Audi get the cutback? He tries for it, but the Lexus basically parks on the apex. Incredible driving by Bellato here. And incredible patience from Fuertes to be able to... the split comes up with a number 1. Oh my goodness, it's so difficult. And that last lap was a 1:28.7. The Lexus is struggling under the pressure of the Audi, but he only needs to keep it together for another 7 minutes. Just about 3 laps or so, depending on where they end up on the track. And not to forget, the blue flags can work in the leader's advantage as well as in second place. Van Coyle still trying to find a dent in Minton's armour. Can't do it. They have lap traffic ahead of them. Yes, it is. Looking at the timing screens. Oh, he's going to try and do the same thing again. Close as you like. I think that may have been a little bit of panic came out of the 806 driver's left foot there. Meanwhile, lapped cars getting well out of the way, and still the 199 as well on the defensive from Niall Bullion. Remember, the BMW driver was 6 seconds in the lead before the pit stop window opened. And again, the BMW goes for the same strategy, a wide line, late apex, get the traction down, but he's run wide onto the grass. And once again, all of that overspeed that he might have got falls away. Meanwhile, these two cars fighting has brought Dan Minton back into the mix, as well as Igor Van Coyle. 1.2 seconds is the gap for the time being. Let me emphasize that for sure. 5 minutes remaining. This is where we expect Minton to drop the hammer and start to really push what that Bentley is able to do. It looks as though the BMW in the dirty air is just not able to get the best out of it. On the defensive again does the Lexus, but this might be too much. It is too much for the Lexus driver. Audi is up the inside. There is blue flag traffic ahead as well. What is going to happen here? The Audi gives way to the Lexus. Was that contact perhaps made by the Audi, and that's why he gave the position back? Stream Director says no. So clean. It would have been a clean overtake, but discretion absolutely being the better part of valor there. Blue flag traffic. We have no idea what the drivers were going to do. Remember, in GT3 racing, they aren't obliged to get out of the way per se of the leaders, but not the obligation they have is to not defend. But now coming down Craner curves again, the Audi has an overspeed. There's not going to be a passing place into the old hairpin, but this could be getting Bellato looking in his rearview mirror and not concentrating. The only hope the Wesses has now is to be able to force an error from the Lexus driver on the brakes up at McLean's. They come and into Coppice. Where is the Audi's pace? They're both keeping it very, very tight. I'm surprised to see the Lexus holding the line so tight. He could get a lot more overspeed if he ran out wider. Each of their own on the brakes. As close as you like. More sparks flying from the underside of the Lexus. Not quite the same overspeed again this time, but the Audi's going to look to the inside. Lexus goes for a sharp line, but the Audi goes tighter and an even later apex. Able to... How is that Lexus keeping the Audi behind? I do not know. Every trick the Valentine tries to pull. This is going to be 2 laps remaining for the end of the race. This is terrifying. And Minton now under a second. That means he's closed in 2/10 in the space of a lap. Now is when he's going to start feeling the aero effect of the cars in front on the straights. So perhaps that gap is going to come down even more. It's just gone out to over a second as they go through that split. But Van Coyle is still not far off. But that's going to be a 3 or 4 car fight for third position. Meanwhile, we watch the most nail-biting of fights as the Audi is right underneath the rear wing once again, pulls out to the right-hand side. He's going to give him the outside line for the chicane, but that's not his strategy. He gets on the brakes later. Maybe they're going to be side-by-side through the chicane. My goodness, neither of them wanted to give up, and a kicker oversteer from the Audi will put pay to that attack. How quick can Fuentes make his way to the back of the Lexus once again? How has Bellato sustained this attack? I don't understand it. And now we have a 4-car battle for third position. The 199 of Cameron Drake, the 58 of Niall Bullion, the 888 of Dan Minton, and the 55 of Igor Van Coyle, all within 0.6 of each other. Minton loses out ever so slightly in the final sector, but that's absolutely nothing to take any notice of. When it comes to Minton, there is blue flag traffic that we just saw. The leaders have to make their way past. Vucinic is in the middle of this fight, and there's nowhere for him to go. BMW goes out, runs out wide, and I think, who was that? That may be another car that was Sabata. So Sabata remains in front for the time being. Oh, Vucinic again just disappears off the track. Does not want to get involved with this battle over the final podium position. Meanwhile, so this is Mercedes, BMW, Bentley, BMW somehow, where the Mercedes has kept the 58 behind all this race. I don't understand. BMW behind, gets out of the way of the 888 car. Fight for the lead, up the inside for the Audi. Lexus has to stay wide because there's a car on the inside. This could be the pass for the lead. Can the Audi make it happen? They are alongside each other. I have heard it said by many commentators, you only need to lead one lap to win the race, and that is the final lap. There is contact made, and Lexus spins off to the inside. It was always going to be difficult. Can the Lexus keep hold of second position? However, it's the Mercedes that comes down the hill. That could well be an unsafe rejoin. The BMW has to get well offline to take avoiding action. It wasn't just first position that he lost there. That was second and third as well. Fourth for the Lexus. It is Audi, Mercedes, BMW, your podium positions as they come into the final lap. Oh, it's astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. And suddenly the battle that was over third position suddenly becomes the battle over third. And Minton is looking up the inside of the Lexus. There is going to be a pressure difference on the tyres, either cold or hot. Minton looks to the outside, can't make it happen into the chicane, gives the tiniest of bumps to the Lexus. No harm, no foul, I would suggest, but now the BMW is going to look to the outside. Igor Van Coyle tries to make good, but it's not going to happen there. Oh, maybe Minton has just lost out on that fifth position. Meanwhile, it took the second half of the race to make it happen, but Valentine Fuertes in the Team WRT Audi wins at Donington Park. Cameron Drake will cross the line to come second. Noel Bullion will a outstanding fight to come third position. Bellato will finally make it across the line in fourth. Dan Minton makes it to fifth position in the end. Aidan Doyle to sixth. Vermeulen to seventh. Is that a driver disconnected already? That has put all the timing screens off. No, Van Coyle is there. That is right, yes. So, very quickly need to get rid of that, so that maintains where it was. So, Valentine Fuertes will take home the checkered flag. Meanwhile, Andrew Brooker looking to make up a pro position on a sister Porsche. Difficult opportunities at McLaren on the inside. I think a McLaren may have run out of fuel. Can Andrew Brooker make... Yeah, there's Miljevic. Brooker will lose out on 17th position by the tiniest of margins. But that will be Miljevic, who was run out of fuel, it looks like. Ivo Miljevic in the 998 ran out of fuel, but that is not the news of the day. The news is the 806 Audi of Valentine Fuertes wins at Donington Park, and I do believe that that is the maiden victory for Valentine himself, as well as the Audi Evo 2. Not a problem. So, your race finishes then. Fuertes takes the win, Drake second, Bullion third, Van Coyle to fourth, Minton fifth, Doyle sixth, Vermeulen seventh, Scudder in eighth, ninth will be Buck and winner in the AM class, D'Couza in 10th, Otto Winkler second in AM class and 11th overall, Miljevic in the 9 car. So here's the replay. This is the pass for the lead. as clean as you like so far. Side by side, they'll come across the line. And this is where it gets very, very difficult. So the Lexus has the inside line, gets on the brakes, they go side by side. The Audi has a higher speed and then just tightens the exit. It's no harm, no foul. I think the 15 was expecting the Audi to go out wider. This was the view I saw. The Audi sits in the middle of the road, and it's the tiniest of touches that then put the Lexus off balance. That's how close to the edge these guys are running, and then this is how close the impact was to the 199 car. That could have been race ending for the Mercedes and the Audi. Lexus. Okay, a word from our sponsors, SRP, once again at the end of the race. Once again, thank you very much for Sim Racing Pro for sponsoring this series. First of all, I'm going to have a very quick word with our race director. Andre, it's a very different role for you tonight. How was being race director through those opening laps?
Good evening. It's not my first rodeo, but I was nervous for sure. It was... I was biting my teeth all the time because I was like, should I send out the safety car? Should I not? Or it was really on the edge all the time. But since it was mostly the slow corners and guys really just get themselves moving really quickly, I decided not to call the safety car out.
It's an understandable decision, and it's good to see that we've had... I think this is the first race that we've had this season where the safety car hasn't been involved at all.
I'm not sure. Was in the last race, Kialami, was there a safety car?
No, there wasn't. No, you're absolutely right. Ironically, the wettest of races
Yes.
was the first race this season to not have a safety car. That is absolutely fine. But the first dry race, then, to not have a safety car interruption or intervention. An overall improvement in driving standards, I think it's fair to say. Just all of the drivers getting a little bit too close in the opening stanzas of the race. Once it all calmed down, happy with the overall driving standards from the race, from those participating?
Yeah, overall, I think it's better. There wasn't like any like serious mistakes, like serious stuff. Only just the small mistakes that just resulted in I would say big penalties today. There was a lot of big penalties, and we are joking that the guys are actually now sort of used to the wet races, and they forgot how to drive on the dry race.
Yeah, I was thinking that it seemed as though there was an expectation for lower speeds and later braking points, and there just wasn't. But thank you very much for dropping in and saying hi to us. It was a challenging race to start with, but I think in the end you earned your dinner and you earned yourself a drink. I think. Please pass on our regards to all of the stewarding crew, because
yes, I will. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
Wonderful, Andre. See you next week, and
See ya.
have a good evening.
You too.
Next into the combox, there is only one place that we can start, and that is a certain race winner, the 806 of Valentine Fuertes, who where do we start? Congratulations.
Thank you.
My goodness, dude. What a race!
Oh, I'm sweating.
I'm not surprised. Did you think that you could possibly find your way past that Lexus?
It was really difficult. He was making that Lexus very big. I did think if I could get like a good exit out of the crazy chicane, and he did not have the best run. I felt like I could be a lot later on the brakes into both hairpins, basically. But he was doing an amazing job of parking it on the apex everywhere, which is very frustrating, but very good defensive driving. So, but yeah.
Yes. But
Then,
in the end, it was it was like 3 corners in the making. The move really began at the Melbourne hairpin, where it looks as though you just got a little bit more traction in the later stages of the race, perhaps the tires going off in the Lexus, and then you had to stick it up the inside. Were you worried that he might not have seen you there?
I was a bit, but I think I was like maybe a tenth of a car length behind him or something, and he moved fully to the right. So I was like, well, if this isn't it, then I don't know what's gonna be it.
Yeah, I totally agree. When we saw the Lexus run, it was so slightly wide. It really was. There was only room for an Audi there, not a single bit more. If you had have been in a BMW or a Bentley, you would have had no chance to get down there, I think, without making contact. So
I was very happy with myself for being able to like completely squeeze it on the inside and like not run into him there.
Absolutely. And I will say a bit of a blotch on the exit of Redgate on that overtake. Brilliantly held around the outside. This just goes to show how good that Evo 2 Audi is. And then the slightest of contacts, and then the Lexus flew off into the infield grass.
That was really unfortunate. I looked at a replay from like above, and I felt like I left him like at least like 1.5 Lexus of space or so, and he just kind of understeered a bit into me. But I'm gonna be biased. He'll probably see it the other way around. But,
I will give you an alternative perspective. He was expecting you to go out to the curbs on the outside, and you stayed in the middle of the road.
Right.
Which to be very fair, I've done that. I've done that myself. And it's absolutely fair to do, and you were perfectly within your rights to do. It's just really unfortunate that it ended. Such an exhilarating and fantastic fight that happened for so long had to end that way.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah.
I'm glad you agree, but hopefully we get to see a lot more of that Audi towards the top of the field. It really is a good-looking car.
Yeah, it really is.
In the Unreal Engine 4, and it's so good to see it actually have the pace that we all know that it was possible to have, even with the Gen 1 car.
Yeah, I think this Evo 2 car on like high downforce tracks such as Donington, it's so good. The high speed downforce corners, it's really fast. Especially in sector 1, I felt like I had loads of pace over the Lexus. Just can't overtake there, but yeah,
absolutely. It's a maiden victory for you, and a maiden victory for the Gen 2 Audi. So congratulations on both counts.
Thank you.
I would keep an eye on the ISDA Racing dashboard just to see what might happen to your current position in the overall championships, because it looks as though you might possibly be progressing a little bit.
That's very exciting. Yeah, I'm very excited about this season. Second podium of the season now. And
absolutely.
The car is driving beautifully, and it's quite enjoyable as well that there's hardly any of them in the championship. So it's like, putting this Audi up there among the BMWs and the Porsches.
I can hear it in your voice that you are smiling from ear to ear. Congratulations, Valentine. I'm absolutely over the moon for you. I really am. Best of luck next week out at Zolder, because now you have to go and do it again. Prove just how good that Audi is.
Oh, Zolder. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
There's always one of two reactions. You either love Zolder, or you're like, I wish I could love Zolder.
I would love Zolder in a Mercedes, probably. We'll see how the Audi does.
Absolutely. Best of luck, Valentine, with your practicing, and we'll see you next week. Have a good evening, mate.
Thank you. You too.
Next into the combox, we have a more complicated interview. I think, first of all, we'll grab a Cameron Drake, and secondly, a Niall Bullion, who Yeah, there's no other way for us to be able to really approach this, I don't think, because you two, along with the two drivers behind you and the two ahead of you, basically carried the entire second half of this race. Incredible racing, incredible driving. Cameron keeping the BMW behind you was an astounding achievement. And Niall, not leading by, what was it, 6.5 seconds before the pit stops. First of all, let's go in chronological order. What happened in the pit stop phase for you to fall so far back?
Well, I have learned tonight that my new button box, I have to hold the stop button for it to stop in the pits.
Oh no!
So, I'm an absolute donut. So yeah, lesson learned for next time.
Absolutely.
I should have practiced that.
So it was let's say it was a user error. I thought it would have been strange for you to be carrying any damage, but it was a user error, a new button box, just not really used to it at the moment.
Yeah, and I missed the pit box by a little bit, so they dropped the car.
Oh my goodness!
So it's it was a bit of a disaster there. So I'm happy to get back up. So yeah.
No, absolutely. And then for both of you, we'll start with Niall again, but talk us through that incredible fight through for what was, I can only imagine, half an hour. And yeah, talk us through it.
Well, luckily Cameron and I know each other pretty well, so there's a lot of trust there. So I knew if I got alongside him, there was never going to be any bother. So it was a lot of fun. Certainly made the race go very quick. I feel like I could have done that all night. So very good.
Absolutely. And Cameron, from your perspective, how much of a challenge was it keeping the BMW behind you?
It was very difficult. I was carrying about 10 seconds of damage after that kerfuffle at the hairpin. So I was only a tenth or so down with that. But coming out of the pits, I, on the other hand, have been practicing my pit stops quite a lot. So I got quite a few seconds gain on the people ahead on that. And I think Niall was just coming into the braking zone as I was leaving the pit lane. And we were just talking about it a second ago. I was very, very close to just saying to him, "On you go, lads, and I'll follow you." But that's what we'd normally do in a pub lobby. But I thought, no, I'm near a podium. I'm going to try and do this. I'm going to try and keep him behind. And it's a sort of thing where he was at the very most 6/10 behind me for a good 35 minutes there. But I feel if it was any random driver, I'm not sort of sure of how they drive, how clean they are, I'd be a lot more worried to be staring in my mirrors. But for the last half of that race, I was able to just kind of focus on what I was doing and know that if he gets close, it's because I've made a mistake. Yeah. And I think the only place he came close to me was the second to last hairpin. And each time I was just able to take the inside line, get a good launch, and then not have to worry for another lap or so.
You say that, but I don't think that having a BMW M4 GT3 in your rearview mirrors, as you said, at most 6/10 away is a comfortable place to be, even if you have the most intimate trust in the driver. There's always netcode and just, as you say, yourself making a mistake. When you're in that close proximity, as you say, you have to have the utmost trust in each other to be able to race so closely for so long and trust that it's not even malicious, it's just a mistake. That's all it needs to be.
No, absolutely. We've probably raced together for a couple 100 hours. We actually met in real life about a year ago before ever knowing that we raced together, that we would race together. We actually made friends first and then started racing together, and it's quite poetic, I guess, in that way.
No, that's absolutely awesome. So, Niall, I assume you're going to be wanting to get one over on Cameron next time out.
It certainly seems that way. But no, he did great. I couldn't get close enough to get past. So that's racing. So hopefully next time I'm the one leading him, and I can keep him behind me.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be 2 hours of Zolder next time out, so it's going to be a lot more complicated, a lot more strategy. By the way, Niall, we've just got in from the results that you are now P2 in the championship overall.
Nice.
So plenty of pressure, and I dare say Cameron isn't going to be too far behind in the greater scheme of things as well.
if I'd finished my first 2 races, maybe. I think for now I've got to probably get another winner, 2 podiums in a row to get even close. But
that sounds about right. Where are you? Oh yeah, you're going to be a little bit further back.
2 DNFs, a 9th and a 2nd, I believe.
Ouch! Yes,
He can do it. I've seen him do it
And
before.
I was running 2nd in both of those races. I DNF'd from as well.
Yep, absolutely. So 10th at the moment, 28 points. So plenty of work to do for yourself. But it's not going to take long if you drive as well as you did tonight to get back up there with the likes of Niall and Valentine that were at the head of the field today.
Yeah, I think I just need to keep my nose clean, even more so than I have in previous leagues. The first 2 races I was a lot more feisty, but the last 2 I've just made sure to, just not go off track once, and it's just pulled through.
Yeah, we do find with ISDA that the competition is so close that you have to prioritize being there at the finish line rather than just outright going for suicide dives and that sort of thing.
To finish first you must finish.
Yes, and unfortunately, because points are available so far down the grid, even if you're finishing in 10th and 11th or 15th, you're still getting good points in the overall championship, and every point at the moment makes a difference.
Absolutely. If I was in any car other than the Merc, I might be a lot happier looking at the tracks left, but I'm just going to have to work hard to make up the deficits that some of the cars have over me. I think Suzuka, I should be all right, but the rest, unless they're wet, I think I'm going to be really having to do my best to finish in the top 10, to be honest.
Well, interestingly, Fuertes had something similar to say, that he would prefer to be in a Mercedes at Zolder. So it seems as though that Mercedes might actually be pretty good next time out.
Oh, maybe he's found something I haven't. I might go have a chat to him after this, actually. Last time I've raced in a competitive setting was actually with Niall in our communities league, and that was my first win. So if it's wet, I'll be right at home. If it's dry, I've probably got a few hours of work ahead of me.
Spoken like a true Brit. I couldn't have put it any better myself. The weather held off this race, thank goodness, but hopefully we'll see some more interesting shenanigans from both of you without any contact being made, obviously.
Never. Not us.
Never.
Not us.
Between us, you've nothing to worry about, don't worry.
Perfect. And donuts after the checkered flag waves, of course. Especially at Zolder with that nice tarmac area on the exit of turn 1. I'm just going to start planting ideas like that right now. Cameron, Niall...
Definitely deserves the donuts.
There we go. Get that traction control off and burn what's left of the tyres off. Wonderful fight tonight. Thank you very much, both of you, for all of your hard work in practice and the race. I don't envy either of you for what you had to put up with as far as the pressure and consistency was concerned. But my goodness, you did put on a show for all of us. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Have a good evening, gents. And I think they are the last of the drivers who want to come and speak to us. A little bit unfortunate. We always do love to have the drivers in for interviews to get their perspectives. I say their perspectives are just as important as everyone else's. Little stat for you. This is the 4th race of the season. This is the 4th different winner for the International Sim Drivers Association GT3 spring season. As close as you like, as they leave Donington Park, it will be Valentine Fuertes who leads the pro class with a 6-point gap to Niall Bullion in second position. Matty Miksic, although having a bit of a nightmare race tonight, is only a point behind in 3rd position. And Dan Minton, the erstwhile competitor, with a 3rd, a 10th, a 3rd, and a 6th tonight, is a point behind. Everything to play for in the pro class as we come down towards the end of the season. This has been the International Sim Drivers Association GT3 season for 2022. My name has been Ike Sky. The stream tonight has been directed by our very own Meli Bacho, and the race director, the stewards, were Andre Couchard Nick Marks and Alex Toro-Grosser. My thanks go out to all of the crew and the drivers that make this possible. Thanks again to Sim Racing Pro for sponsoring this season. And all being well, it will only be a week until we go from Britain to the Netherlands and 2 hours of Circuit Zolder. A very good evening to you all, and we will see you next time.